Give me the next few minutes and I'm going to improve your web design skills by 176%. And I promise that's not a random number. I built hundreds of websites for clients who pay 10k, 20k, sometimes 50k and beyond, including 3 Fortune 500 companies. And every single principle that I'm about to show you is something that I learned from that work. These are the exact things that separate a site that looks fine from a site that looks like a premium agency built it. And I'm going to walk through all of them right now, back to back, with no filler. Let's start with the one that matters more than any other, and it's the one most designers get wrong because they spread their effort across the whole page instead of what people see first, and it's the hero section. The hero is the first thing on the page, the bit you land on before you scroll, and one fact about it changes how you should treat it. A huge share of your visitors never scroll past it, so whatever job your whole site is meant to do, the hero has to do most of it on its own. I treat the hero almost like a mini site, a complete pitch in one screen. That means it needs 4 things, all visible without scrolling. First up, it needs a clear headline that says what this is. Then the context underneath it that says who it's for or what it does. Social proof, so the visitor sees straight away that other people trust this, and an obvious call to action, the thing that you want them to do next. So headline, context, proof, action, all in the first screen. For this one, let me show you a real before and after, a site that me and my team rebuilt because it lands the point harder than any picture perfect example would. And that company is Markups.ai. So Markups do AI contract reviews, and the clever part of their pitch is that it all runs over email with no platform to log into. The first version that they had hit this completely. The logo was slightly off, the main call to action was too lacking in context, it wasn't even a proper button, and then the background, it pulled your eye away from the one thing that mattered. And so you'd land on this site with no idea what they did or why you trust them, so you'd never book a thing. Now, look at the rebuild. Right at the top, there's an eyebrow line that states the whole pitch in 4 words. All work, no platform. And it's set in a color that catches the eye. The headline says exactly what you get. So message Agent Marco to negotiate any contract, no jargon and no guessing. One line of context sits under it. That's the agent trained on your own historical contracts, so you know exactly what it is. And the call to action is really specific now. It says book a demo. On a software product, a vague sort of schedule a call, it leaves people wondering what they're even booking. But book a demo tells them exactly what happens next. We even added a small custom mascot to bring the site to life a little bit more. And there's a simple test that tells you that a hero is pulling its weight. Even if the visitor never scrolled past it, never saw a testimonial or a stat below the fold, they could still make a decision from that one screen alone. And that is the bar. The hero has to stand completely on its own. So get the hero right and you've won most of the battle. Everything after this is about guiding the visitor once they're in. The second principle is visual hierarchy, and it's the one that decides whether a page looks professionally designed or just dumped onto the screen gung-ho. Visual hierarchy means deciding what the eye sees first, then second, then third, and doing it purposefully. When everything on a page is the same size and weight, the eye has nowhere to naturally land, so the whole thing, it just reads as noise. The fix for this is to make the single most important thing the biggest and the boldest, then incrementally turn down everything else that matters less. The main headline is loud, the supporting text is a little quieter, the fine print is going to be quieter again, so you're building a path for the eye from top to bottom. The quickest way to test your own page is just squint your eyes at it or shrink it down small. If you can still tell what the most important thing is, then your hierarchy works. If it all blurs into one grey block, then nothing's leading the eye and the page reads as cheap, even if every individual piece is nice. That's the order that the eye moves in. So the third principle is about white space, and it's the one beginners are most scared of because it looks like you're leaving the page unfinished. White space is essentially the empty space around your elements, and the instinct when you've got a blank area is just to fill it, because empty space, it looks like wasted space. But realistically, the opposite is true. Space is what makes a site feel expensive. When you give an element room around it, you're telling the visitor that this thing matters, so look over here. If you cram everything together and nothing gets to breathe, then nothing stands out, and the whole page, it reads then as busy and quite amateur. Look at the sites that read the most high end and you'll notice how much nothing is actually on them. You've got generous padding around text. You've got real gaps between sections. The expensive look is mostly restrained. So when a section is off and you can't say why, the answer is almost always that it needs more space and not more stuff. The fourth principle is contrast and color. And if you only fix one thing after this video, fix this one, because it's the change that makes the biggest visible difference for the least amount of effort. Contrast is how much something stands out from what's around it, and it does two jobs. The first is readability. If your text doesn't have enough contrast against its background, then people physically struggle to read it, and a site you can't read comfortably loses people in seconds, no matter how pretty it is. So light grey text on a white background that you might think looks elegant is often just hard work for the eye. The second job is steering attention, and this is where colour really earns its keep. Your call to action, e.g. the button that you want clicked, should be the highest contrast thing on the page. Most of your site should sit in a calm, restrained palette, and then your one key action pops out against it. That pop is what pulls the eye and the click. When a button blends into everything around it, people just don't see it. And a button that people don't see might as well just not exist. Electric car scheme is a really clean example to show here. We have a restrained palette across most of the page, and then the key action stands out against it, and there's no question where they want you to go. If you'd rather not hold all of this in your head while you build, I've got something for you. I've put every single principle in this video with the weak version and the strong version side by side into a single printable checklist. So instead of carrying it around in your memory, you can have it open next to you and just run down it as you go. It's the whole video on one page. The link's in the description, so go ahead, grab it, and let's get straight back into the principles. The fifth principle is social proof, and the upgrade here is where you put it, not whether you use it. You already know to use it. Social proof is basically the evidence that other people trust you. The logos, the testimonials, links out to third-party review platforms, etc., etc. And most sites, they actually bury it. They build a page called testimonials that nobody clicks, or they drop a wall of 5-star quotes somewhere far away from any decision. The proof is, it's technically there, but it's nowhere near the moment the visitor is deciding, so it does nothing. Proof has to sit at the point of doubt. The testimonial belongs right next to the price, where the worry actually lives for the visitor. The client logos belong up near the hero section, where I told you to put them earlier, so trust when you put them there lands in the first couple of seconds. The review score, it belongs on the thing that your users are deciding about in the moment that they're deciding. You're putting that reassurance exactly where hesitation is, so it answers the doubt before they've even finished having it. The sixth principle is typography, e.g. your fonts, and it's one of the clearest signals of whether a site was built by a professional. The whole thing comes down to two moves. So first of all, just use fewer fonts. You may think that you need more, but 1 or 2 across the entire site, it generally does the trick. The moment you've got 4 or 5 different fonts fighting each other, the site looks amateur because you've got zero consistency. Restraint reads as control. Second, your text needs a clear size order that matches the hierarchy we talked about. So big confident headings, clear subheadings, and body text that's set at a size and spacing that people can read without having to lean in. And don't get clever with body text. Decorative fonts, they look fun for about a second, then they just kill readability. And a site nobody can comfortably read is a site that nobody stays on. So save the personality for the headline. Keep the body copy clean. So now the words look right. The last principle is the one most people forget until a client complains, and it's the one that we never skip. And that principle is mobile. And I've not left it near the end because it matters least. It's actually the contrary. Most designers treat it as an afterthought, and it's the one that loses them the most visitors without them ever realizing. Most of the people landing on the sites that you build are going to be on their phones. Not some of them, most of them. So a site that looks beautiful on your big desktop monitor and then falls apart on a phone is failing for the majority of people who are actually going to see it and interact with it. Text that's too small to read, or buttons too close together to tap, things running off the edge of the screen. That's what a lot of visitors are actually being served. Now the fix is a habit to build as opposed to a new skill set to add. So check every build on a real phone held in one hand before you call it done. Can you read everything without trying to zoom in? Can you tap the main button with your thumb without hitting 3 other things? Does anything spill off the side? If you build for mobile and check on a phone from the start instead of bolting it on at the end, you've already beaten most of the sites out there. So that is the full stack. And that is that these aren't 7 separate tricks. They're one skill wearing 7 different hats. Every single one of them, the hero, the hierarchy, the space, the contrast, the proof, the type, the phone, is doing the same job. It's controlling where the visitor looks and what they feel while they're looking. That is all design is. You are deciding on a visitor's behalf what they notice first, what they trust, and what they do next. And that's the difference between a site that looks fine and a site that looks like a premium agency built it. It isn't taste that you're born with. It's a set of decisions that you made on purpose. The weak site isn't ugly because the person had no eye. It's because every one of those decisions got left to chance. And so the eye, it wanders, nothing quite leads it, and then the whole thing just comes across as cheap without anyone being able to say why. The premium site made every one of these calls deliberately. So go back to a site that you've built or one that you're about to and walk it through these 7 things. Where does the eye land first? Is there room to breathe? Does the one button you care about stand out above all else? Is the proof sitting where the doubt is? You'll spot the loose decisions instantly, and every one that you tighten up makes the whole thing look so much more expensive. You don't necessarily need more talent, you just need to stop leaving things to chance. Now, getting this good at design is one thing, getting paid properly for it is another, and they're not the same skill. Plenty of talented designers are chasing a few $100s for work that should be worth thousands because nobody showed them how to turn the skill into real projects. I made a video on exactly that, how to take design skills like these and turn them into 10k plus projects. So you can go and watch that one next over here, and I'll see you there.